Brewcast is back, baby.
This Brewcast episode is brought to you by the Brewcast Store. Explore a store filled with awesome goodies from hoodies to t-shirts to mugs. We've got you covered. Stay in style with Brewcast. Embrace the shock, set the trend. Visit now brew-cast.com/store. Link below.
Back with the fire, can't you see the flames? From Deutschland's depths comes the Brucast name. Voices like thunder breaking all the chains. Unleash the fury like a runaway train.
Alright, hi everyone, welcome back to another Brewcast episode. If it's your first time watching the show, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please rate the show 5 stars. This will ensure that the podcast recommends to even more people and allow me to keep doing what I love. Brewcast also on Instagram, X, and TikTok, where I upload shorts with the highlights of the show. So follow now, Brewcast on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Links in the description below.
Here we thrive, we survive!
Hey there, Brewcast fans. Well, welcome back to another Brewcast episode. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment to participate in our next month's giveaway. Yes, you guys keep liking, you guys keep subscribing, you guys keep commenting. We're gonna keep doing the giveaways. We're gonna announce the winner at the end of next month. It's gonna be something from the Brewcast store, either a cap or a mug or a t-shirt. It's a surprise. All you have to do, again, is like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned, everyone. So, we have a very special guest today. Her name is Elizabeth Bruckner. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Brew.
Thank you so much for being here. You called me charming, or I guess, at the beginning.
I did. Oh, and you wanted to make sure that we got it on record. You are a very charming host.
So, I like you already. No, but I'm joking. I like you because I saw your profile as well on Podmatch, and you strike me as someone who likes to live healthy, and that's like a perfect match for Brewcast. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, I am a accidental homesteader, and I've listened to a few of your podcasts. So I'm grateful that you have a lot of healthcare practitioners on here, people that are looking into holistic health. I guess if I had to boil it down to one sentence, if people are like, "What do you believe in?" I believe in the body's amazing ability to heal itself, given the right resources. And you're in your 30s right now in Chinese medicine. I'm an acupuncturist and an author of the book we'll talk about later. But in Chinese medicine, we say that disease cheats you in old age, but in youth, you cheat disease. So when you're in your 20s and your 30s, you're not feeling it yet. When you get to your 40s and 50s is when all of the things that you've done prior come back to haunt you. And so when we're talking to people, and what is the age group of the people that listen typically? What are your demographics?
It's my age, like 20, 30s. I guess
Okay.
a little bit of 40s, yeah.
Okay, so the surprising thing is that in your 40s and 50s, which you're not even thinking about yet, but you can actually feel better than you feel in your 30s. And a lot of people are like, "I'm fine. I sleep well. I eat really fairly well. I'm not that stressed out. I'm just doing great." But with real food and real traditional skills, you can actually be 10 times more efficient, 10 times happier, even because you're not allowing the microbes in your gut to rule your life. So in my 20s and 30s, I thought I was okay. I was a little tired during grad school, but I thought I was okay. And then once I got into my 40s and 50s and started really looking at the nutritional aspects of homesteading and more intentional ways of living, I couldn't believe how my life had changed. And so I really am grateful that I'm talking to a younger demographic, because you're the ones that can change your world now and kind of be putting deposits in the bank for later, but feeling a difference even now.
Yeah, that's a hard one because, I mean, as you mentioned, you don't feel the consequences, I mean, the full range of consequences right now. You need
Right.
to wait a couple of decades, but then it's too late. And I think it's a little bit like investing, you know. Everyone says you need to start investing as soon as you can. The earlier, the better. But like when you're 20, like you just who cares? I want to party, you know. Like you
Right.
really need to have. I don't want to say good parents, but what would be the word here? Like pain in the ass parents. Like do that. I don't know what the word is. Like I think it depends on your personality as well, right?
Mm,
Some people are a little bit calmer and they kind of have this sense of the future.
mm.
Some others don't, so it's tricky.
It's tricky. I would say even consider a rebellious spirit really works because you are sticking it to big pharma, big business, big medicine when you take care of yourself in your 20s and your 30s. And it is like playing the stock market. So you're putting an investment in, but you'll start seeing dividends. Like, the dopamine you get when you go online and you look at your stock and it's gone up 2 points.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do the stocks, but my husband is constantly showing me, look, we made $7 and look. And I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. But you actually will feel that in your body as well. You'll wake up and you'll be like, you know what? I slept like I haven't slept since I was 6 years old. What is about that? Or I just got ready to go on my trip. You travel a lot. So I just got ready to go on my trip and I wasn't stressed out. That is crazy. And so those dividends can start showing up in ways that you didn't even know that you were unbalanced. You might have less arguments with your roommates or your mate. You might have less stress when it comes to job instability or even going for interviews for jobs. All of those things can be easier with a little bit of health. And it doesn't mean that you don't get to have fun and you don't get to party and you don't get to do all the things that your brain, the female and the male brain, are telling us they're putting off lots of chemicals in the 20s, like get out there, meet people. We need to procreate. We need to continue the species.
Have babies. Have a lot of babies. Yeah.
Right. And you can still do all those things and have fun and just add a few little pieces of health into your life. So I always equate it to just little tiny puzzle pieces. You don't have to do a lot to make an immense difference in your life.
Have you seen this TV show? I think it's quite old now. It got canceled in 2009, if I'm not
Mm.
mistaken. It was called The Biggest Loser.
Mm.
Have you heard about it? Yeah,
I have.
yesterday I was watching this Netflix documentary about it, and they canceled the show because they were getting slimmer and slimmer, faster and faster, and this messes up with your metabolism. But that's not where I wanted to get at. Apparently, during the show, they would have those challenges where they would tease people with a bunch of junk food, and they were like, this is the representation of real life. In real life, sometimes you're trying to lose weight, but you go home and your way home there's Pizza Hut or there's McDonald's, and those temptations are so hard to avoid, and that's what they try to include into the program. And of course, a lot of them would just eat those things and then gain weight, and then of course, I mean, the whole premise of the show was who could lose more weight, so it was against their goals. But I can totally see this as truth, as a universal truth. I come home every day after work and I have to pass through McDonald's and I have to smell those tasty fries, even though I know they are wrecking my health. And it's tricky. It's hard. It's hard.
Oh, it's very hard. It's swimming upstream to be healthy in 2025. It absolutely is. And there's a few things that you're talking about here. Number one, with people that are 300, 400 pounds overweight in The Big Loser, a lot of them are dealing with a number of health issues. One is behavioral addiction, right? They're
Oh,
just used to the comfort of like, I'm going to go home. Like, maybe it started in middle school when everybody's super mean and they're eating to comfort themselves. And that becomes their new best friend, the TV and food. Then you put on top of that the sugar addiction and those McDonald's French fries, which I haven't had in probably 30 years, but I used to love them. I also could, thank you. I will take that clap. But I used to drive by and could not stop. They have scientifically made it so that your body craves them. So you're swimming upstream just in those two regards. When you start eating nutrient dense, highly satisfying food and you only do it, one meal per day. So let's say you come home or on the way home, and I'm going to make it really simple. You have apples and some almonds in your car, and you snack on those apples and almonds before you get in your car, and then you drive maybe a different way to not go past McDonald's. And then when you go home, there's something in your crock pot, like a meat stock that's cooking, that's nutrient dense, and it can be, a chicken, a baked chicken, or a roast, and you've got potatoes in there, and you've got the good, sea salt, and lots of animal fats, something so satiating. I will say that once I started eating nutrient dense true food, I don't crave it ever. I never go by McDonald's and think, "Oh my god, I'd really like that." And I used to, because initially I started with I watched Super Size Me. That's when I stopped eating
Oh
it.
yes,
Remember
yes.
that
Oh.
movie? And that movie tugged at my heart because it was like, this is an evil corporation and I don't like those big corporations. I'm not going to ever eat them again. So I didn't. And it was sheer willpower because I hadn't changed my nutrient dense. I wasn't eating nutrient dense food yet. So I was kind of still eating a lot of processed food. It looked organic. It had happy cows on the packages, but it wasn't filling me. When I started maybe 2 or 3 years ago, eating nutrient dense foods, which I usually do from the GAPS protocol. It's a neurologist created this protocol, which is all about real foods, whole foods. And then there's some shortcuts to just making easy food. Like I try to have one cooked meal in the house and then I'll batch it and I'll have a lot of chili. I'll have chili frozen for a few weeks. Once I started eating that way, I remember the first time I had a meal with a little bit of animal fat, and that doesn't sound sexy, right? Animal fat. So I'll make it sound, I took a let's see, I had bacon from pasture raised not cows, pasture raised, not even, they're not pasture raised, they're free range hogs or pigs, and I had bacon from a farmer that I knew, some delicious eggs with big slabs of butter, and then like a little cup of homemade yogurt and meat stock. And I will tell you, Brew, I felt so content in my body. It was the weirdest biological feeling I had ever had because I had been a holistic practitioner for many, many years. I eat fairly healthy for many, many years. But this was the first time that I was like, oh, I feel like there was static and it was kind of a low level anxiety that was gone. I just felt like, oh, this is how my body was supposed to be. And when you drive by McDonald's, I don't care if they're throwing McFlurries at your face. You're going to be all right. You'll be like, yeah, thanks, but I've got a delicious dessert at home. Like I make my own ice cream and it takes 5 minutes and it's super nutrient dense. So I think that it is possible to step out of that matrix. You've talked about the matrix before in some of your episodes, especially the creepy one with ChatGPT. But you can step out of that matrix and still have fun, still have delicious food.
Hmm. Interesting. I'm going to start taking notes here because I need. I'm stuck. I'm stuck in the matrix. I'm eating healthy, super unhealthy. Even though I have on my, it's crazy. I have on my fridge like this little chart.
Mhm.
You know what? I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get
Okay.
it. Give me a second, everyone. One second. One second.
We have some dead air right now while he goes to get the famous chart. We're going to learn about the chart today. I was just filling in the dead air.
thank, thank you, Elizabeth. So, my cat ate a little piece. I'm sorry.
Which one? The new one or the hairless one?
Oh, you know everything. It's Hunter. It's the new guy.
It's the new guy.
He's a little bit.
All right, let's see what you got there.
Um,
Carbs. Okay.
Actually, one second. There we go. Carbs, protein, fat, and apparently you need all three of them. And here are some examples of what you can get from each one of them. So carbs, you have bread, rice, oats, pasta, vegetables, and then protein, you have chicken, eggs, fish, cottage cheese, and then fat, avocado, nut butter, egg yolk, nuts, etc. And for me, like when I started thinking about my health and what I put into my body, like this was super interesting and super informative because I had no idea. Like even now, you say rich, nutrient rich food. I would say I don't know. I'm projecting here, but I would say a lot of people don't know exactly
But
what it means. You know.
I love that you say that because you're right. And I would even add some of the really fun fats on your fat side of there. So you've got oils, but you can also do lard, which is pork fat, and it is delicious for frying stuff. Or, for example, I'll make some bacon and then I've got a bunch of bacon grease. Again, this is really healthy, nitrate free bacon, happy hogs, regenerative agriculture, which means they really allowed the hog to live like a hog's supposed to live. So I'll have the bacon, and then in the bacon grease that's still in the pan, I'll throw in just a pound of broccoli, chopped up broccoli. You have not lived until you've had bacon fried broccoli. It is like no other. Broccoli, there's something magical about broccoli. And I remember eating broccoli, at a party on plates where you dip it in dip and it's raw and it's gross. Anytime you fry broccoli in butter or some kind of lard, you will be so happy. Then there's tallow, which is the fat from beef. I don't prefer that fat. I don't like the taste of it. And then there's chicken fat, which is really easy. And some of the times, all you need is whenever you're going to have sugar to add a little fat into it. So if I make applesauce, I will put a few tablespoons, and applesauce is this easy for your 20-year-olds that are like, that sounds crazy. You get a little crock pot, you cut up your apples into quarters, you throw them in the crock pot, and you let it cook for 2 hours. I have a little tiny crock pot for that. And after, I'll add maybe 1 or 2 tablespoons of duck fat, and that sounds disgusting. Like in my 20s and 30s, I'd be like, what am I saying? Like 3 years ago, I'd have been like, don't put duck fat in my applesauce. But it gives it this rich flavor. And then you have something that tastes like apple pie filling. And it's highly healing for your gut, your intestinal wall. And it's absolutely delicious. You would never know that it's good for you.
I don't think it's that crazy, like people went nuts over over this guy, the liver king, he would just take the liver out of the animal, eat it raw, and people would say, I think people knew he was a little bit nuts, but people, it was appealing. I was like, there's something primal about it. There's something, it sparks something in your brain, like something that we lost over the time, over like in modern times, and we just eat the highly processed food, and then comes this madman, caveman eating raw livers. Like, what? Okay, but so I think when you say you take the fat of the duck, it's not that crazy, It's
No, and you can buy it. You don't have to make it. You can buy it. And another thing about liver, so I don't know about in Germany, but in America, we've really poo-pooed any kind of organ meats. We've just, that's so yuck. We only do, mostly the mainstream is muscle meats. And I remember my mom is from Belarus, so we had a lot of liverwurst in our house, which is just a sausage made of liver, but it has like certain herbs and stuff. And I grew up on that. And so when I had to relearn how to eat liver, I had to put a lot of herbs in it because I didn't want the liverwurst that we got at the supermarket that had way too many preservatives in it. So I would just buy frozen chicken livers, and then I would do butter, onions mixed into a pot, and then use a hand blender with a bunch of rosemary and garlic. It is absolutely delicious, but it took me a week or 2 to get used to it. Now my body craves it. It's that super nutrient dense food, and it's a fast food now. So this morning we just got back from the mountain. We were up in the mountains, and which is why I didn't listen to more of your wonderful podcasts. I'll have to do later because I want to click like and subscribe so I can get one of the hats. That is my goal, is to win one of your hats. The cup I don't mind, but I really want a hat for walking in the sunny California. So when I came down, I had no food here. We had nothing. And so I was like, we got to get some stuff really, really fast. And so I just pulled out some liver pate from the freezer. I pulled out a stack of sausages that are nitrate free. We were able to have real food. And I have homemade sauerkraut or homemade fermented food in our fridge, ready to go at any moment. So all of this was fast food. I did very little cooking, but I got real food. Before I learned how to cook. I learned in my 40s. So I wasn't in my 30s. I was just like you. Like I was like, what about, I don't feel so achy. I'll be fine. But in my 40s, I realized that there was one way that I could really help the health of my husband and I and our family by creating real food. And so I made an effort to learn how to cook. And so if you're in your 20s and your 30s and you're looking for a hobby, you play guitar. That's a fantastic hobby. But there might be somebody else that's like, guitar is not my thing. I don't want to get the calluses. What would I like to do? Consider learning how to cook. And you can start with the way that I did, which was 3 steps. If the recipe had more than 3 steps, I wasn't going to do it. And so I would love to talk to you about if we could bridge your guitar playing into how you formed a habit, because I think that's essential. We're going to talk about a lot of things that are exciting and interesting. But how do you get there? How do you become the guy that can sing John Denver songs, which was my favorite of your songs that you played? And you play fairly well. I don't know how long you've been playing, but can we talk about how you started? Like it started with an inspiration, and then I'll bring it back to how you can create cooking as a hobby from what you're going to tell me about your guitar playing?
Yeah, of course, because I mean that's a hobby that I need to start cooking. I just don't see myself. Every time that I need to cook, I just tell myself I don't have time. I don't know how to do anything, and then so I just don't do it. But going back to the guitar, I always wanted to play the guitar. I always, as a kid, I always saw other people playing guitar. It was inspiring, you know. And then one day I approached this buddy of mine and asked how he played super well. I asked him, "How long have you been playing?" And he said 3 years, and this was devastating. I was like, what? I need to invest 3 years of my life in order just to play like you do? That's absurd. I'm not doing that. And then I spent another 10 years just being miserable because I could not play the guitar. And then I just stop and think to myself, wait a minute, it's been 10 years and the guy said 3. I could have learned a long time ago.
Wow.
So I just, and then I think when I was 28, 29, I just told myself, it doesn't matter how old I am, I want to do it. It doesn't matter how long it takes, I will do it. It's something that I always wanted to do. And then I started doing it, and I sucked at the beginning. It was horrible. But what kept me going, what prevented me from stopping was like, I'm not, I kept telling myself, yes, I suck, but I'm a guitar player. I'm a horrible guitar player, but I am one. And you need to suck in order to get better. It's just part of the process. And well, that's the mindset. And that's the first mindset. So I am a horrible guitar player, but I am a guitar player. And the second mindset was, what was it again? Have fun. As long as I'm having fun and I'm have consistency, I'm gonna get there. There you go. Fun, consistency, and I am a guitar player, even though I'm bad. And there you go. It's been
I love it.
just to conclude. It's been what, 3-4 years now. There you go. I did it.
Now you're doing it. And if you go to for the listener that wants to go and listen, you have some of your songs on Instagram, which is really sweet. And you're a very good guitar player. I mean, it's remarkable. And you did that in 3 to 4 years. So can we kind of dissect that? I want to dissect that so that we can look at that in terms of habit creation, because I did the same with learning languages. So spreken Sie Dutch?
Ja, sehr gut.
Ich sprechen Dutch. Ich sprechen Französisch, English, und ein bisschen Spanish. So I just said to Brew, do you speak German? And then I followed it up with, I don't speak German because I don't. I learned how to speak a 15-minute conversation in 3 months through my boss's channel, which is Fluent in 3 months. But then I stopped because the pandemic came and I couldn't get to Austria, which is where I was going. So are you a native German speaker?
No, I'm Brazilian actually. It's crazy.
That's what I was guessing. Your accent sounds a little, but I don't speak Portuguese. But you could probably understand my Spanish. And then I said, I don't speak German, but I speak French and Spanish and a little Spanish and English. And the reason I do that is because it is the way for me to start conversations with people that speak German. It's like if you speak in someone's target language, in their native language, you can open up a whole new world with one sentence. Like I knew 2 sentences. I don't remember anything else. And yet, when I speak to a German, they're like, really? How did you learn that? And then we just start talking and we get to know each other. So the first thing that I started with language learning, like you, is I am a really bad speaker of German or French or Spanish, but I am a speaker. We made it our identity. I am a guitar player. And so you could say the same to someone that's learning how to cook. I like to use the word homesteading, which I can explain to you in a minute, but I can say I am a homesteader. I know nothing at this moment, but I am a homesteader. And then you start with, you talked about the myths that you have. I don't have time. So I often see 3 myths. We're going to do this German counting, right? You start with the thumb. The Germans always do number 1 with the thumbs up. So number 1 is I don't have time. Number 2, I don't have money. And number 3, it's too complicated. That's usually the excuses or myths or reasons that people give me when they want to learn something, but they can't. And you said, I don't have time. I don't have time to cook. And I don't have time to do guitar. And it's going to take 3 years. And then later, it's 10 years later, you haven't done anything and you want to. So when we look at I don't have time, the first thing that we do is break it down into incremental moments that you can learn something. I like to do habit stacking and habit chaining. That's from Atomic Habits by James Clear. Love that book. It's so great. And James Clear says to take whatever habit you have now So, for example, you want to play guitar, but instead, when you come home, you play video games because you're exhausted and you want to turn your brain off. You've worked a long day and that is your habit, and you feel terrible about it. You don't want to play video games. You often end up playing video games for 2 hours and you said you were going to make dinner and then you didn't. What if you came home and you just habit chained? And that means you take a habit that you have already and you add another habit to it. So, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to play video games, but for 5 minutes, I'm going to look for a recipe that I want to make. I'm going to look for something easy. I'm going to look how to bake chicken. Then I'm going to read it for 5 minutes and then I'm going to do my normal habit. And then the next day, I'm going to see what ingredients I need to buy for that. And then I'm going to put that on my shopping list. And then and then you still do the video games. And eventually what happens is you become, the brain loves, it loves novelty and repetition. So the brain likes knowing I'm going to come home and I'm going to watch my favorite TV show and binge on it. Or I'm going to come home and I'm going to do a video game because that's the routine. It's kind of comforting to come home and know what I'm going to do. It also likes novelty, which is why video games work so well. You don't know if you're going to die on the first level or you're going to die on the 50th level. Same with TV. You don't know what's going to happen the next time. When you start adding to that routine, a routine that's going to give some self-improvement. So for you, you could even say that you were playing guitar. I had a friend of mine that learned guitar and he would watch the same movie, like old movies that he knew, and he'd do the scales while he was doing it. He was just doing the thing. He was just getting the motor skills going. And that was his version of habit stacking. So that first one was habit chaining. The second is habit stacking, where we take a habit and we stack another onto it. For example, when I wash dishes, because when you cook food, there will be dishes. I have not figured out a miracle cure to those. But what I do is I'm always listening to a podcast about something that interests me. And I'm usually going down one thread at a time. So when I was learning how to cook, I would listen to language learning podcasts because I just wanted to learn, but I also wanted to, get my dishwashing done. Now, I do it mostly for medical stuff. So I'm interested in doing a master course on castor oil and how it can heal the body. So I just made a playlist of all of the episodes that exist on Spotify or wherever you get podcasts for castor oil. And I'm listening to each one and I'm hearing people tell me how they hate it and people tell me how they love it, but I'm learning and I'm doing that while I'm washing dishes. So I'm habit stacking. So if you look at your found time is anytime you are reaching for distraction. Anytime you're picking up the phone to scroll through social media, and it's not for work, it's not to create more content. Anytime you're scrolling, you have found time and you can figure out a way to do that. For me, with language learning, I created an Instagram account solely in French, and I did nothing else but make French friends and speak in French and comment in French. That's all I did. You could do that for cooking. You can make it your own cooking account. And you don't have your best friends on it because they're not going to want to speak to you about whatever habit you're creating. It's like this new identity, as you had said before, but you're using social media to do it. What do you think about that?
It's brilliant. Yeah, yeah. I don't want to say you force yourself to do those things because I mean you have a goal, you want to do them, and I never tried though. It sounds like washing, like what was the term that you use? Stacking?
Habit stacking.
Habit stacking. So you're doing basically two things at the same time, the thing that you're used to plus the new thing that you want to improve.
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then habit chaining is just adding on to whatever habit. So you can use, let's say you're a smoker. I don't advocate smoking on a regular basis, but let's say you're smoking and you have this guilt about smoking. But what if every time you smoke, you then go on your account, your Pinterest account or whatever you're doing, or I learned a lot from YouTube and just watch a 5-minute 5-minute video on how to bake a chicken. Like the very basics, because I love starting with baked chicken because it's super easy. And now you have fast food for 3 days, right? You can make a sandwich, you can make a soup, you can just have chicken with potatoes on the side. Like you've got 3 or 4 meals and it's very easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Sounds powerful. Habit stacking, habits chaining. What I knew, I think I knew a similar concept to that. I think it's called Kaizen. It's the 1 minute Japanese rule. I would say it's similar. Apparently the Kaizen goes, the rule goes every day or every week, something like that. You take at least 1 minute to start doing the thing that you want to do. And because 1 minute sounds easy, right? But turns out apparently initiating the action is the hardest part.
That's
Everyone
right.
who tries it, they say it's a pain in the ass to actually do it. But once they start doing it, they do more than 1 minute. Then they spend 40 minutes, 1 hour doing the thing, because just this initial push is the hardest thing for some people. I think for
Absolutely.
most people, I guess.
For me, for sure.
Yeah,
And then you've got to get you've got to kind of gamify your goals.
yeah.
So for me, I love checking things off. So I'll make like a habit tracker. I actually have a free habit tracker that I can offer to your listeners at the end of the show. But I like habit tracking because every time I get something done, I can check it off and it gives me a little dopamine hit. It's kind of like a like or a heart on social media, and it creates a success. So the example that I have is in my 20s, I lived in San Francisco and I worked for a boss that had me working 60 hours a week, a good old American job. And I was not exercising and I was feeling it. I really wanted to start a yoga practice, but I couldn't because I had no time. Right. And so I started saying, okay, I'm going to exercise. My goal will be 3 times a week, but I'm going to put a star on my calendar. I still use paper calendars, but back then that was a thing. So I went out and bought some little kid stickers and I put a star. And the first week I only got 1 star and I'm like, this is terrible. I'm an awful exerciser. And the next week I only got 2 stars because again, 60 hours a week. And I thought, well, I doubled. I like got 100% increase from 1 week to the next. And what would happen is on the bad weeks, I'd be like, oh, this is horrible. I really stink at this. And I'd go back and I'd look, oh, but I've had 6 weeks of consistency. And I think Kaizen really works on that. Like you're just doing that 1 minute, but it's consistency. I
Yeah.
like to do 5 minutes, but 1 minute is even easier, I think, to start.
Yeah, Kaizen plus stars is the ultimate technique. Just buy stars. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, yeah. The Japanese got a lot of things right. At the
Yeah.
beginning of the show, I was talking about the going home and smelling the fast food smell, and once I researched why everyone's healthy in Japan, it's because they have sushi everywhere. They have, like, you go to the gas station, they don't have a bunch of candy bars there. They don't have like this weird hot dog that's been spinning there for 3 days. They
Mm-hmm.
they they, they have like healthy food. They have like sushi and I don't know, fish, whatever the Japanese
Mm-hmm.
eat, like the beans. I think they have like this. I don't know. I never been to Japan. I'm one day, but what I figured out is like they have healthy food everywhere. Not. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm exaggerating a little bit here, guys, but you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
you know, I was talking with a buddy of mine the other day. How good it would be, talking about health in general, right? How
Mm-hmm.
good it would be if everyone had access to the gym. Like right now, you
Mm.
need to pay to go to the gym. I don't want to say that's a big problem. I think everyone, if someone wants to go to the gym, they're gonna pay and they're gonna go to the gym. But imagine if it was part of your health care card, the national
Mm.
health care card. That would be so much better, right? If they should build more gyms than hospitals, because it's the prevention that is important. And I don't know where I'm going with that, Elizabeth. I'm just popping, saying things that are popping up in my head.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Well, I know that 20 years ago, so you would be about 11, I visited friends in Germany and their gas stations had Whole Foods. I don't know what the gas stations are like in Germany now, but they had
Yeah.
like these gigantic catered. I mean, it was amazing. And we were like, how does this happen? Like, this is how truck drivers eat. They eat real food. And there was also a very big walking culture in Southern California because the sun is out almost all the time. Like it's always lovely. We're moving on a general basis, but this idea of making movement something that's easy to access and kind of incentivized, right? It's free, but you're also going to get community when you're there.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the gym. I've been to the gym many, many times throughout my decades. Now it's much more outside. And I see a lot of pictures on your Instagram. You can learn a lot about someone on someone's Instagram. It's fantastic. But you've got all these pictures of going to new cities and all of those cities, besides the architecture, which is absolutely beautiful, is that Germany hasn't forgotten to keep it green. And so you can get a lot of exercise just by going outside. And, there's some crazy science about the skin and sunlight. So just having sunlight on your skin, yes, it's going to help you metabolize and create vitamin D, but it also helps you move cholesterol through your body in the way that it's supposed to be had. So
Really?
yes. So in your chart there, you had eggs and egg yolks. Egg yolks, in 20 years ago, were considered evil, but they're actually one of the best foods you could have. I think it might be on proteins, but did they put it on fats?
Protein.
Okay. Well, egg yolks are super, super fatty. So if you're ever deciding to have some sort of protein shake, skip the whey protein because it's been processed, and just separate the whites from the yolks. Use the whites to wash your hair, which I can do, and then put the egg yolks in. And so the egg yolks, that cholesterol that we all say is so terrible, is absolutely essential for brain health. It's so good for you. Well, when you're in the sun, you eat your egg yolk and then you go out into the sun for a few minutes, and the sun helps you metabolize it. There are enzymes that are produced when you're out in the sun in the morning. Just being out in the sun a little bit, it actually wakes things up in your body. And there are vitamins that are produced just by being in the sun. So a lot of people think like it's so hard to get fitness, but you can do it in a way. For me, when I take my walks initially, now I have a dog, so I can't possibly talk on the phone and walk my big 90-pound dog at the same time. But when I was just trying to get motivation to go for walks on my own or to go exercise on my own, I would always just take my cell phone, put in one earbud, and that would be when I would make my weekly calls to my friends. And so I was getting some movement, but I was also checking in and creating community. That's a version of habit stacking, right? I'm taking two habits and I'm putting them together so it feels like I'm getting more bang for my buck. And I really like a bargain. And I think most people do. And so it feels like, oh, I'm doing something, but it's kind of a bargain.
Yeah, for sure. My grandma used to. Oh man. Nah, never mind. She used to.
No, tell me, what did she do?
She used to
Pretty good.
drive and answer emails on her phone at the same time.
Oh.
Habit stacking.
Oh my gosh, grandma.
Yeah, she's still alive though, so everything's fine. Elizabeth, so I need to ask you, right? Because we touched on the subject a couple of times. What is homesteading? What is that?
What is it? Well, in America, there was a series of laws. So there's traditional homesteading and modern homesteading, which is what I do and what my book talks about. Traditional homesteading is ma and pa kettle out on the prairie, and they've gotten some land from the government, and like they live completely by themselves. They make their own clothes. They, fight off bears with rifles. They've got a pitchfork, and it's do or die. If they don't milk the cow that day, nobody drinks milk. This is what I grew up thinking homesteading was. I thought in America, there's a TV show called Little House on the Prairie, and it's based on Laura Ingalls books. And it's all about like people are wearing bonnets and they live out in the middle of nowhere. And so that's what I assumed all homesteading was. But the modern homesteading is a mindfulness practice. So we're taking the gifts that we've been given from traditional homesteaders. And a lot of times the way that they got homesteading, the reason they were called homesteaders is because back in 1862, we began as a federal government of the United States granting federal land to private owners. So a lot of the rich got richer, but there were a few lucky ma and pas that were able to get 40 acres and a mule. And that's where they started building their life out west, typically. I think the last homesteader was in the 70s or 80s in Alaska. They stuck a little flag and said, I'm going to get this land is mine. And then they lived off that land from homesteading. So that is not what I'm doing. Modern homesteading is this mindfulness practice. It's a mindful way of living. It has a lot to do with some of the other mindfulness movements, like what's the one that I'm trying to think of it? Minimalism. Like everybody's like less is more, less is more, less is more. In modern homesteading, you can have a touch of minimalism in it, but it's mostly getting us back away from the screens and getting our hands to be moving and using again and creating things just with kind of connecting to our own innate resourcefulness. So people used to think like there's nothing I can do, right? If the food system is broken. And as we saw in 2020, I don't know where you were, but I remember walking to the grocery store and I wanted to get garlic and ginger because those are two highly medicinal herbs in Chinese medicine in my medicine. And so I went there and they're great for respiratory illnesses. And we had a respiratory illness that was going on. And when I got there, it was not available. The shelves were empty. And I thought, oh, this is troublesome because I had only heard stories of communism and post-war and wartime life from my mom, who was a child during the Second World War and immigrated to America, and my grandparents. Like they knew what it was like to have famine. I had never experienced it in America. And so when I saw that, it was almost like some of my DNA, my genos kind of turned on. And I was like, oh, this is trouble. So I came home. I told my husband, I don't know what we're going to do. And he said, well, why don't we just try growing some of our own food? And I thought, the prescription to anxiety is action. So, okay, I'll try growing my own food. And so I started growing just little bits in my suburban, mostly cement backyard. It's a pool with cement around it. And I just started growing a little bit of mint, basil, tomatoes. Those things grow really easily here. And then I started, my scientific brain was kind of interested in fermentation and how you can take your tomatoes that you made in the ground and you can now ferment it and, increase the vitamin content by 10 and increase the bioavailability, your ability to absorb it, increase it tremendously and heal your gut microbiome, which is then going to protect your immune system from said viruses. And so every time I started looking online about how to grow your own food, how to ferment the easy way, because remember, I have the 3-step rule. I don't do anything more than 3 steps. Every time I went on, I would hear like, well, I'm a modern homesteader. I'm like, what on earth is this homesteading thing? And then I realized that I was actually a homesteader by accident. So when we talk about homesteading, there's many spokes of the wheel. Some people will say like, I make my own sourdough bread. I've never made my own sourdough bread because I have a baker at the farmer's market that makes incredible sourdough bread. But my neighbor doesn't ferment. So I often give her my ferments and she'll give me some of her produce that she's grown. And so in that way, I'm building this community just within the suburbs through farmers markets, other gardeners, and other people that want to do traditional skills. And I will say it's a form of moving meditation. It's incredibly helpful for my nervous system. And I am not off grid. I'm not in a rural area. And in my book, I even talk about how to do this in an urban area where you live in an apartment and you don't have a yard. There are steps that you can take just to be a little more connected to your food, a little more connected to your daily way of life. Because I think as you were talking about the simulation, even if we're not in a simulation and this is all real, we are in a simulation because when you sit down, especially in my 20s, I'd come home from work and I would sit down and I'd watch some TV show and they became my friends. That's a simulation. They're not my friends. The stars from that 70s show have never met me, except I lived in LA, so they were in close proximity, but they're not my friends. And that is a simulation. When you are going to the farmer's market and saying hello to your farmers and getting to know them, suddenly you're stepping out of that simulation and you're having real life experiences.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. It's, like, I think if you ask 100% of men, they always say that they have this wild dream of abandoning society, going to the woods, build a cabin, and become a hunter and live out of nature. It's just part of our DNA. We're not built to be locked up on offices the whole day, like with our shrimp hunch in front of the computers. That's not how things are supposed to be, but that's how they are, unfortunately. And I have this theory that we all need it's part otherwise we all need just some type of connection to nature in order to stay sane, in order not to go crazy, because it's who we are. We are part of nature, like either you have a cat or you have a dog, or you go for a walk every now and then to nature, or you're more into homesteading and you like to cook more. I've like you're describing. I think it's part of who you are. All need some type of connection to nature in some way, or in order to stay sane. And I really like homesteading. It's beautiful because it forces you to have this type of connection. And you said it reduces anxiety. I need to try it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it creates connection to your community, because I think that
Yes.
we have been, that got taken away from us from just the digital age. Like, it's so easy to be in your house and never go out, especially if you work remotely, and never
Mhm.
see another human being. Like, I could easily continue to learn Spanish online. That's how I learned French and German. And yet I insist that, like, there are Spanish speakers here. I'm going to make sure that I learn with people in person that I can hug and smell and see and laugh with. That is essential. Now, you talked about corporate world. I worked in corporate America for a time, and it's definitely not my bag. It was too much fluorescent lighting. Everybody looked like they were just sleepwalking through life. As a matter of fact, I wrote a song called Sleepwalking Through Life while I was there, because people would be counting down the days till retirement. And I was in my 20s. I'm like, this is not the way to live. But let's say you're there and you're not as allergic to it as I am. How do you get nature in the corporate world? I would recommend going outside, finding a patch of grass. A lot of corporate industrial parks have grass, and just taking your shoes off and walking in it for 2 minutes. That's it. For me, what I would do is I had an hour lunch, and good old American ethics, I was forgetting to take lunch. And then I decided, no, I'm going to start taking lunch, and I'm going to savor this. And so I would drive to a park, which was 10 minutes away. I'd walk for 10 minutes, I'd eat for 10 minutes, and then I would drive back. And I just got a little bit of nature each day. It's so important. Even in the mornings when I take my dog out, like, we have a dog run, so I don't have to go outside with him, but I go outside with him and I check on my marigolds, and I just look around and allow that light, that sunlight, to hit my eyes, so that I remember that I am a living human being. I'm not a digital avatar.
Maybe we don't know. I wouldn't be so certain. I don't know.
Well, don't you have a cartoon of you on your Instagram, so you might be an avatar, but I'm gonna break out of that.
Yeah, I'm joking. Yeah, this morning I always go for a walk every day, right? This morning I just went for my usual walk. I decided to take another route. There's a river nearby. I need to walk like 10, 15 minutes, but I just went there, sat in the bench and look at the river. Like, it feels like a reset button, just washes all of your worries away. But then you need to you need to go
Yeah.
back at some point. You need to go back.
Well,
Yeah.
that's pretty healthy. Now tell me, how do you get yourself motivated to take that 15-minute walk, and how did it start?
Okay. That's a what gets me motivated. Is the
A cute girl by the lake.
I wish it's the consequence of not doing it. To be honest.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yes, that's the same reason why I exercises, like the consequences of not doing it. Because I know if I don't do those things, I'm just gonna get cranky and moody throughout the day, and no one deserves that. I don't deserve that. If I can fix that just by going for a walk every day and lifting some weights, why not? At the end of the day,
Yes.
I still gonna live longer then, so why not? Just
Well, that's fantastic. So you do have some health routines instilled in your day. That's fantastic. You're ahead
yeah.
of the game.
Oh, really? Good.
Yeah, because a lot of people aren't moving. They're saying they're going to move. I mean, I get it. I've been the person that has not had time to move, or the 60 hours a week, right? I thought that was more important, that my boss's happiness and approval of me was more important than my health.
Oh.
It was an incorrect belief. And the one thing that I got to learn during that time was I get to change my mind, and I get to renege on promises. And the promise was I'm going to work 60 hours a week. And then I said, nope, I'm not doing that anymore. And my life expectancy increased, but my happiness increased too, because I was able to get walks in. And you did two things here. So you're taking the walk, but you're also, you had some time to sit down and just contemplate the river.
But I feel
Like
guilty
that.
about it. It's like,
Do you?
I'm wasting time. I could be doing something else. There's the anxiety, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would say that you could look at it from a neuroscience perspective. So that reset button that you're talking about, it really is every time that we take a breath, that we slow down, that we stop and look out, especially if a creative content creator. Like, you have to be creative. You can't be creative unless you give your brain that reset. So that is actually part of your job, is to go out and to reset. And what you're doing is, when you're sitting down and just looking at the river and you're allowing thoughts to just pass, it's becoming this meditation. You are activating outside of the reptilian fight or flight part of the brain and into the cognitive part of the brain that's going, what do I want to create next? Oh, I was just thinking about the color yellow, and it made me think of this new thing that I could bring up in my next podcast. And then you just go, you're resetting. That is part of the solution.
Yeah. Have you watched The Shining?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? I mean,
Is that what you do when you don't take a walk? All work and no play makes Brew a very angry, angry man. Like, is that what you do? Like, your cats get nervous. Oh God, he hasn't taken a walk yet. I can see he's getting crazy eyes. He's gonna feast on us. I just know it.
yes.
Those poor cats.
But yeah, I'm not joking. I learned that from The Shining. I was like,
wow,
bro, like, I guess this movie has a point. I need to relax from time to time. I'm not joking.
That was your aha moment.
Yes.
The scariest movie on earth. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, at least you can create goodness from all things. That is a really scary movie. I saw it when I was way too young. I should not have seen that movie, and it was like, But yeah, all work and no play makes Brew what was it? Makes a doll boy? Makes
something
Jack
like
a doll
that.
boy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Pages and pages of it.
But I watched the movie of someone who actually read the book, and the whole time they're just trashing the movie. It's like, they don't explain that in the movie. The movie's so bad. It's like, what are you talking about? This is terrifying. And apparently the book's 10 times more. It's like, I'm not reading that. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stephen King is quite a reader. I've tried to read Christine 2 times in my teens. First of all, I have a highly sensitive imagination. So the last scary movie I watched, I was 18, and my boyfriend I had very strict parents. And I insisted that he walk me up to my bedroom and leave all the lights on the house because no one was home. It was Rosemary's Baby. And that was like, I'm done. Never doing that again, because it will just... oh my! So you like scary movies?
Yeah.
Oh no! My husband's like, please, can we watch Jaws? And I'm like, no, because we'll never go in the ocean again. That's how it works with me, and maybe not the pool. But Stephen King is, he's not one of my favorite writers for fiction. He's very detailed, and so I guess that's what she's saying. There's so many, or he was saying, there's so many details that you can't get in the movie. His nonfiction books, which you might enjoy, the one called On Writing is really good, and it's just great for creatives to think outside of the box and how you can create routines around writing or anything else that you're doing.
On Writing, Stephen King. Let's share the screen here with the audience real quick. Screen share. There we go. A memoir of the craft. Okay, so it's nonfiction. I didn't know he writes nonfiction as well. That's
I think he only wrote one, and it's phenomenal. He's a very good writer. He was very angry in it, though, because some guy hit him. Like, he was walking along a main road, speaking of, like, in Maine, the state of Maine, and some guy was driving past him, bent down to get a candy bar, and when he looked up, he hit Stephen King, and Stephen King was in the hospital for like 6 months or something. And in this, he still hasn't processed it, and he's just so bitter about that. He's like, I don't forgive him. But the rest of the book is fantastic, because it's just a look inside the mind of a genius. And how do you become a genius? When someone comes to my house and sees all of the projects that I've done, and even that I speak different languages, or when they come to your house and you play guitar and they're like, how are you doing it? It's blowing their mind. They may think that we have genius tendencies, but we don't. We just were able to create habits that worked well for us, that created something outside of the matrix.
Yeah. I mean, behind all geniuses, there's just plenty of hard work, Unless, I don't know.
Smart work. Yeah.
Smart work, yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Talking about smart work, I would like to go back about and talk a little bit more about homesteading. Why are you talking about it? I thought about this IKEA effect. Have you heard about it?
Maybe not.
I think it's called the IKEA effect. It's when IKEA is this shop, right? For those listening who don't know, is where you go to buy furniture. There's a lot of them here in Europe. There must be in the US.
Oh,
Is there a key in
lots.
the US? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So it's you guys know what I'm talking about. And the thing is, apparently, when you build the things yourself, you attach some type of sentimental value that wouldn't be there if you just bought it. The thing done, complete, like the fact that you need to unbox it and to take all the screws and screw all it takes some time, it takes some effort, it takes some care, and at the end you just like it more. And I
Oh.
see when you said like uh, the modern homesteading is like go away from the screens, take more time to get your grow your own food and cook yourself, like you're gonna enjoy it more. I mean, that's what I assume. At the end of the day, you're just gonna take more pleasure out of the whole experience. It's way more than just order something from the internet.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
yeah,
I'm sorry. Were
no,
you
no,
going to say
no, that's
something?
it.
I got excited because the IKEA effect is brilliant, and there's a philosophy in Native American culture. I don't know which tribe posits this, but they say that everything that you create with your hands houses some of your spirit in it. And so I think the IKEA effect from a religious cultural standpoint can be seen that way. You've put your time and your sweat and your intuitiveness into trying to figure out those instructions, right? And now it's something that you've created. There's also some studies, some neurological studies that have proven that people that use their hands for hobbies are happier in general. So the fact that you've learned guitar and you play guitar, just using your hands to learn something is so much better for your brain body connection, and it actually creates happiness. So I told my husband this, and he's like, "That's why you want to do things the hard way." He calls it the hard way, but I'm always like, "Ah, we'll just put up a fence, or we'll just paint our own potting shed." And a lot of times he's like, "I don't want to do it," and then I'll be like, "Well, just come in for 15 minutes with me." And then he's like, "This was so much fun," and we have these incredible memories because we've done something that's slightly challenging. And for the male brain, there's Brew, I'm telling you so many books, but I love books. So there's two books. I don't know the author, The Female Brain and the Male Brain. And it's by a neurologist that explains testosterone, estrogen, how it mixes in our bodies and different portions. The male brain and female brain are very different. And the male brain loves challenge. When you have high testosterone, you like a challenge, you like a puzzle. So there's something about, and I'm sure you can relate to this, like when you're playing guitar and you're trying to get a difficult riff and you finally get it, you get a surge of pleasure in there. The female brain also has testosterone and likes challenges as well, but we also like creativity and community. Like it's very important for me as a female. I was just reading this and it makes a lot of sense that creativity, community, our caveman brain thinks as women, we got to kind of hunker together to be safe. And we haven't evolved past that. So that's why when I go to the farmer's market and I know all my vendors and they know the names of my family members and we chat, there is this sense of satiation because I'm known and I'm in a community and I belong. And for men with hobbies, so hobbies can bring together community. And then for men, hobbies can bring challenges that will then give them a dopamine response.
wow, that's so interesting. I didn't know we had like actual explanations of why it's like that. The dopamine and did you mention estrogen as well?
Yes,
Yeah.
estrogen and testosterone, which we all have. Like
Yeah.
a lot of times people think the male brain doesn't have any estrogen. That's not true. It's just in a different proportion.
Okay. Okay. As a kid, I used to hear like women speak 10,000 words per day when men just five, and it's like, but why? I don't understand why. But now it kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
I
that's right.
Someone told me not a long time ago is that women they bond face to face, and men bond shoulder to shoulder next to each other because they are facing the problem.
Mm.
And yeah, I
Have
kind
you
of
noticed that? Have you noticed that in like, is it weird for you to hang out with your friends, your guy friends, and be face to face? Do you typically hang out side by side when you're talking?
no, I think it's more figuratively. It's like when you're
Oh.
it's not
I
it's
was
not
like, are you constantly shoulder to shoulder with your like, hey, dude, good to see you. Look, can you stand over here? Because otherwise, I'm going to consider you a threat. We need to look at the problem. I see. Okay, yes. Well, that would go back to that challenge in testosterone. Okay, it's figurative.
figuratively, like you're shoulder to shoulder because you're facing the problem, but you could be
Oh,
facing each other talking about the problem.
okay, good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think it Kind of makes sense. Yeah. That's oh man. I saw today on Instagram that I don't know. You are, I don't know, 100% more inclined to like someone if you both hate the same thing. I don't know if this.
Oh.
I think this connects to everyone. Doesn't mean a man or woman, but
Wow. Okay.
yeah.
How do
so-
you find out? Do you just go like quiz them? Like, do you like rocks? Do you like the smell of dog poo? Like, you can definitely find something that someone's not gonna like, right? For you, right? You own cats. Do you like cat butt? No, I do not like cat butt. Okay, we can agree to not like kitty litter or whatever.
I hate kitty. I have like
See?
a robot litter. Just cleans everything
Oh.
for me. I hate it. I hate it. Everyone comes over is like, bro, are you insane? You have a spaceship that cleans the cat poo. It's like, you have an idea how much time you spend cleaning this cat poo? Even if this machine was even more expensive, I would buy it. It's
Yes.
yeah, it saves so much
I
time.
was a dog walker cat sitter in San Francisco in my
Oh,
20s.
wow.
So I know how nasty kitty litter is.
Yeah.
And like it gets tracked everywhere. That was before these robots existed. I think everyone should get those robots for sure.
Yes,
Because
guys.
it gets smelly.
This is not a paid interview, but
We both hate cat poop, and we both endorse cat robots, kitty litter robots. What are they called? Do they have different brands and stuff?
there's so many different brands.
Really?
The one I have, it's called Robot litter robot
Litter
for
robot.
litter robot for. But there's plenty of them. But it's kind of sketchy. It's a sketchy market. If you,
What do you mean it's a sketchy market? You have to get on the block. Do you have any kitty litter robots? I got 2 in my van. Come. What are you talking about? I've never heard of like
this is gonna
sketchy market.
get dark real quick.
Oh no! The robots eat your cats.
Yeah, basically, plenty of them
No.
like got canceled, got sued on Amazon, like the cheap Chinese versions because they're just killing the cats, just crushing the.
What?
Yeah, it's not a.
They're crushing the cats?
Yeah, it's a thing.
No. How did you learn about this? Did you
Un-
like look up the
Unless you buy Little Robot 4.
use coupon code BRUCAST for you should call them. You should definitely have a coupon code. Wow. So there are bad versions that will that's really, first of all, it's absolutely insane and also really sad, but such a terrible way for your cat to go. Like, oh, a terrible accident. Oh, hit by a car. No. The kitty litter, the robot that cleans the kitty litter. Oh, that's awful. What? Oh, and I'm not going to go look at the videos of the newscasts that have talked about the kitty litter robots that kill cats. That's terrible. Way to bring it down, Brew. We were having such a good time.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay, Elizabeth, thank you so much.
And we'll end there. Don't let your cats get
On a
caught in the
high
kitty
note,
litter bin.
no, I'm joking. It was besides the dead cats. What a wonderful episode! Thank you so much, Elizabeth. So we learned a lot about homesteading. And what if you want to know more about it? I heard you have a book.
I do have a book. It's called The Homesteader Mindset by Elizabeth Bruckner. You can get it on Amazon. And I also have a gift for your listeners if you'd like me to share it. It's a habit tracker. So I created the Homestead Habit Tracker, which is just a way, and then it's got a few steps on how to create easy habits. So a little bit of what we touched on, but also helping you to get really clear, but in an easy way that you can do in a Kaizen way, 1 minute a day. And you can get that by going to my website, which is createwellnessproject.com/gift, GIFT.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Do you have any final remarks?
No, I mean, I'm stunned by our where it went, the angle that we went, but this was so much fun. Thank you. You give me hope for the future, considering all the things that you are doing to take care of your body and to create more happiness in the world through your podcast. So it was an honor to be on.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. See you next time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to participate in next month's giveaway. See you next time, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. If it's your first time watching the show, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please rank the show 5 stars. This will ensure that the podcast is recommended to even more people and allow me to keep doing what I love. Check out now the Brucast store, Explore store, filled with awesome goodies from hoodies to t-shirts to mugs. We've got you covered. Stay in style with Brucast. Embrace the shock, set the trend. Buy now at brew-cast.com/store. Again, that's brew-cast.com/store. Link on the description below. Be a Brucast model and get free stuff. We'd love to see how you and your loved ones enjoy Brucast. Snap a picture of yourself, your family, your friends, or even your pets wearing Brucast merch, or watching an episode of the show and send it to us and become part of Brucast. We'll feature you and your pictures at the end of every episode, just like the ones you're seeing on screen right now. You can upload your pictures at brew-cast.com/contact or tag us on social media. Alright everyone, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much and see you next time. Bye bye.